Well, my playing was a bit of a surprise element. I mean, Neal came to my studio for a couple of instructional get-togethers, and he wanted to know a little bit more about big band drumming and the swing field because he has spent his life playing another kind of music, but he's a big fan of jazz. The mechanics of jazz, as I explained in my clinic, are quite a bit different from a lot of straight eighth note music and music that's played so loud. And so anyway, those are the kind of things that Neal and I worked on. And then I happened to mention to Don Lombardi, who's the founder of Drum Workshop Drums and also the founder of this new drum channel, this internet venture.
Yeah.
I said, so Don, when is this Buddy Rich thing? And he, oh, it's such and such a date. And I said, well, geez, I'm going to be in New York. He said, you're going to be in New York? I said, well, yeah, I have a recording project with a excellent singer. And this is interesting because she found me on MySpace and sent me a message. And she wound up hiring me and my nephew. His name is Damien Erskine. He's a great bass player, but we'd never worked together before. Except when he was quite young.
That's okay.
So I'm in New York doing this, and then Don Lombardi and Kathy Rich said, why don't you play a song? I said, well, what can I play? And they said, how about Ready Mix? And I like Ready Mix. It's a Bill Holman tune. It's the first song that's on the album Swingin' New Big Band, and that was the first recording that most of us heard of Buddy's new big band. And up until that time, we would listen to Buddy on various, usually small group recordings, unless we were listening to some of the Harry James big band or Tommy Dorsey things. Just listening, sure, to the Basie band and Maynard Ferguson's band and Duke Ellington's band and Stan Kenton. And, I grew up listening to the music, and that same year, I think, when Buddy's new band came out, the Don Ellis big band came on the scene. The 60s were an exciting time for music. So anyway, the first tune on that album was a Bill Holman chart called Ready Mix. And it's just like a 3-minute tune, and there's the drums really don't do that much. I mean, just kind of play time. So I said, sure. So everyone else had their drum sets, and they had their drum technicians, and I showed up, and they said, well, do you mind playing on Tommy Igoe's kit? I said, yeah, I'll play on Tommy's kit, sure. So I kind of sat down, and Tommy's very tall, and he sits very high. And Tommy said, do you want to change anything? I said,
well,
it's okay, it's too much trouble. I think the main difference between my playing that and the other drummers, well, one, I mean, I was probably the one guy that's actually
a jazz band
that played. I toured with big bands for quite a few years. But also, because I turned to the band at the rehearsal the night before when we just ran it down once, I said, we can actually play the dynamics. We can play soft. And they kind of looked like, oh, okay. So by saying I didn't feel like I really did anything special, I mean, I didn't, I can't play as fast or as loud as all the other drummers could, so I just figured, why bother? So I just played the tune. So people seemed to like it. It was fun. I was proud of Neal and very impressed by the way everyone played, and everyone brought their own thing. And it was fun to hear that music played by, Chad Smith and Terry Bozzio and John Blackwell.
That's interesting.
And Buddy's grandson, Nick, did a terrific job. And I told him, I said, well, your grandfather would have been proud. And he's a hell of a drummer.
That's interesting because a lot of the rock drummers, for instance, Charlie Watts and Phil Collins, they both try to play with big bands. And they say it feels like driving a Ferrari. Is that for you something like that? This huge sound behind you?
I've never driven a Ferrari. Maybe it's like driving a Volvo or something.
Okay. Close enough, anyway.
You know, when a band is good and the music's good, it's a lot of fun. I still love it. I just did a recording, the music of Bob Florence, and we did that at Capitol Studios, where so many great big band recordings were made over the years. And the key to playing is, you know, of course, you try to understand the shading and what the writer is going for. But as I mentioned in my clinic, to play in such a way that it makes the rest of the band play better. And so when they have a figure coming up, you give them a setup that feels good. And also remembering that they're horn players, maybe the horn's cold and they haven't played it for a minute or 2 minutes, and they have to bring it up to their lips. No, I'm saying during a song. You know, they bring it up to their lips, they're counting, they have to take a breath. And, you know, so you don't want to do something that, no, you create excitement, but there are ways to do that without giving anybody a heart attack or something. So, but that, for me, that came with experience, because when I was younger, I liked giving the rest of the band a heart attack several times a night. Now I realize I was doing that too much, and I think the other musicians had a lot of patience.
That's one.